You know, every single one of us in the professional world faces the exact same challenge. There's this massive gap, right, between the huge goals we set for ourselves and what we actually do every day. We all want that big win, but our daily routines, they just don't line up. Atomic Habits by James Clear isn't just another book on your shelf. It's an operating system designed to close that gap. It's a whole new way to think about progress, and that's what we're going to break down today.
So, right at the start, the book just hits you with this killer question. Think about it. Every single athlete at the Olympics wants the gold medal. Every startup founder wants to build a unicorn. If the people who succeed and the people who fail have the exact same goals, well, then the goal itself can't be what makes the difference. That one idea, right there, changes the entire game.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we're going to expose the problem with goals themselves. Then, we'll get into the surprising math behind making tiny improvements. After that, we'll dive into the practical 4-step action plan. Then we'll zoom out to the big picture philosophy of identity. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a much-needed reality check. Okay, let's dive right into the core problem. If you've ever set a big goal and then just watched it fizzle out, the book argues that, it's not you. It's not about your motivation. The problem is the entire framework you're using. This quote from Clear just nails it. See, goals are the results you want, but systems are the processes that lead to those results. Obsessing over winning the race makes you ignore the system of actually becoming a better runner. It's a huge shift from focusing on a destination to focusing on building a better engine every single day. And when you put these two approaches head to head, you really see the psychological trap. The goal-driven path basically holds your happiness hostage. It's like saying, I'll be happy when I get there. But a systems-driven approach, that's about finding satisfaction in the work itself. You're not waiting for permission to feel good. Success is found in just running the plays. So if goals are the trap, what's the escape route? Well, the answer comes from a really powerful idea from mathematics. It sounds complicated, but trust me, the core concept is stunningly simple. The entire thesis of the book really boils down to this. Tiny, almost invisible improvements are what really drive massive change. We're not talking about huge leaps. We're just talking about getting 1% better every single day. And this is where the magic, or really the math, happens. That little 1% improvement, done consistently for a year, it compounds. You don't just end up a little bit better, you end up almost 37 times better. This is the quiet engine behind all incredible success stories. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. For the first few weeks, maybe even months, it's going to feel like nothing is happening. This is what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. It's that valley of disappointment where most people give up. They expect to see progress right away, but real results are always delayed. Understanding this plateau is the key to having the patience to see things through. Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the how. The book gives us a super simple, really practical framework for building better habits, and it's all broken down into 4 laws. I want you to think of these 4 laws, obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, as the control panel for any human behavior. If you want to build a good habit, you just turn all 4 dials up. If you want to break a bad one, you turn them all down. It's that systematic. The first law is all about the trigger, the cue. And the easiest way to make a new habit obvious is to bolt it onto something you already do. This is a brilliant little trick called habit stacking. So instead of a vague goal like, I should read more, the formula is super specific. After I make my morning coffee, I will read 1 page. The old habit triggers the new one. Okay, lot 2 is all about motivation. How do you make a habit more attractive? You bundle it with something you actually want to do. It's called temptation bundling. For example, I am only allowed to listen to my favorite podcast while I'm at the gym. You're linking something you have to do with something you get to do. Now, law 3 is about one thing, reducing friction. And the best way to do that is with the 2-minute rule. So, read every day becomes read 1 page. Go for a run becomes just put on my running shoes. The point isn't to achieve the outcome right away. The point is to make it so laughably easy to start that you can't say no. And finally, the 4th law. This one is all about giving your brain what it craves, an immediate reward. To make a good habit stick, you need to feel successful right away. The simplest way to do this is tracking. Putting that big X on a calendar, that's not just a mark, it's a little shot of dopamine that tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do it again tomorrow. You start building a chain you won't want to break.
All right, let's zoom out a bit. The tactics are great, but this next part, this is the real strategic core of the book. This is the shift that makes all the other changes actually last.
So most of us try to change by focusing on an outcome we want. But the real game changer is when you start focusing on the identity you want to have. The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't just to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. It's a tiny shift in language, but it changes absolutely everything. And this is where Clear drops another brilliant line that just sums it all up. Your habits are what shape your identity. Every time you lace up your shoes and go for a run, you're casting a vote for being a runner. Every time you write one page, you're casting a vote for being a writer. Real lasting change is always identity change. Okay, so the framework is powerful, no doubt about it. But as strategists, we can't just take it at face value. We have to stress test these ideas and understand their limits. So, is this a perfect system? Where does this approach fall short when it hits the messy, complicated reality of our actual lives? There are a few big ones to keep in mind. First, this whole system requires a lot of self-awareness and consistent tracking, which is, a habit in itself. Second, it's not a substitute for good old-fashioned grit. You still have to push through that plateau we talked about. Third, trying to build good habits in a really negative environment is like swimming upstream. It's just not sustainable. And finally, look, if your business is on fire, a 1% improvement might not be the answer. Sometimes you really do need a massive change, not a tiny one.
So what's the bottom line? Atomic Habits gives you a truly brilliant operating system for improvement. It replaces that flawed goal-first thinking with a much smarter process-based approach. But it's not magic. The system only works if you do. And that still comes down to your commitment day in and day out.
If you want to go deeper on any of these ideas, we've put a link to the book and some other great resources for you down in the description.
And if you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives just like this. We'll see you in the next one.